Hi, friends. Chris Kelly here. Well, it's getting late in the week. Time to get some stats out, talk a little bit about what's going on in the great wide world of real estate. And there's a bit going on. It's actually pretty cool. So let's skip on over here and take a look. New listings up from last week, 398%. That kind of seems not possible, but it is. It's not entirely abnormal to see a big jump after the first week of the year. That's a bigger than normal first jump. That's a pretty healthy amount of listing inventory to find its way into the market in January early on. So, I mean, pending sales are strong. We're not. Early 22 was a continuation of 20 and 21. It was still that first half of 22 was really strong. We had more new listings come to the market than we did in 22 and 23. That's been sorely needed. So I'm not calling that a bad thing at all. Pending sales, they climbed a little bit from last week. And they're up a little bit from this time last year. Solds, not so much. So, rates have been on a slight improvement or a decent improvement, and now maybe the last week or the last couple of days, a slight increase, very slight. But in general, conforming rates, conventional money starts with a 6, and government money can start with a 5. That's where it has been. Pace of the market pretty consistent with 19 going into 20 from a time perspective, average and median both. The average and median sales price dropped quite a bit in the from weeks prior. So and again that happens. So interesting though. I'm going to flip over to another graphic here. This is the we do the kind of the weekly, or I should say the MLS. The RMLS does a monthly report. And this just talks about inventory in months. Now we talk about that velocity. How long does it take to sell everything if nothing new entered the market at the rate of sales? That's what inventory in months actually means. And last month, the month of November, we saw the highest inventory in months we'd seen in 3 years. And it was still only 3.5. I mean, that's exceedingly low. We just had a couple of years of 1.0 and 0.8 and just absurdly low inventory. Everything was flying off the shelf as fast or even faster than it was coming onto said shelf. So, that slowed up a bit. Again, remember, anything under 6 months of inventory is considered a seller's market. That's kind of how the inventory thing has always been looked at. Anything above 6 months inventory has always been considered a buyer's market. And as you can see, we haven't had a buyer's market. I can take this back 7, 8, 9 years. I don't think we've seen a buyer's market in at least 8 years. So by months of inventory as a metric. Interesting stuff. When you scroll down here a little bit, I'm looking at December of 23 versus December of 22. So end of last year versus the end of the year prior. Sales prices, average and median, up a little over 3%. There's an article it was an article done by the, what's the fellow's name? Mike Simonson. I think he's the president of Altos Research. And they're a research firm that provides data to, various news outlets and real estate the real estate universe. Wrote a pretty good end of year article, and it really goes into, it's a long article, but it's worth the read. And it goes into detail. There's a pretty good video attached to it as well. So I'll link that in. You guys, for those of you stats and info geeks like myself, you might find that to be of interest. I did. So, but all in all, one interesting nugget was the national median average sales price is up about 3%. So Portland Metro is pretty consistent with the national average, rather, where median and average sales price end of the year 23 versus end of year 22. So, all right, That's it's interesting that that happens in the face of money getting as expensive as it did. But that just speaks to inventory versus demand. People still need to move, and there hasn't been a lot of choices, and that has solely been what's keeping pricing where it's been and where it is. I'll put a probably a separate post up, but let me see if I can pull this graphic. I mean, this is yeah, there we go. This is the other part of this. I mean, there's a little series of these I'm going to put out, but there's a bunch of buyers going to be that we're kind of on the front end of it coming into the market, generationally speaking. On the flip side, there's going to be a decent amount of people exiting the market, i.e. the boomers. So, you know, inventory will grow and more buyers will come. All in all, what's that mean? It means we're going to have a robust market, all in all. You know, is there going to be some of this in it? Of course there is, because there always is. But I think this coming year is going to be a good year. Everybody I've talked to in this industry right now, with very few exceptions, almost everybody I've talked to, because there have been one or two I can think of, are feeling busy, are feeling the busyness. And that's reflected in the listing inventory going up like it has. So there's just more going on right now, which is fantastic. You know, I always say, get on with your life, do what you're going to do. You know, I don't look, I don't feel cavalier about money. It's like, oh, just buy it. No, nothing like that. We obviously have to be mindful to, you know, our budgets and, you know, just the economic constraints. And it is harder, no doubt, economically for many to do what they want to do than it ever has been. But it isn't necessarily impossible. And housing is not only a staple, it's arguably one of the most important staples. So, you know, people are going to do something in this area when it's time to do something. So I think less people are going to stay on the sidelines this year. I think there's going to be more people getting on the horse, so to speak. Hopefully inventory numbers come up to accommodate that, at least in part. I'm concerned that won't be the case. All right, so last call. Let's see. There it is. Saturday morning. We're supposed to get a little weather here in Portland Metro, so that ought to be interesting. But, you know, we've had snow before during our movie event. And that year we had a decent amount of snow. I think we still had north of 150 people show up, which always surprises me. But it's possible we're going to have a little weather this coming Saturday, tomorrow and Saturday. It's Thursday night here as I make this video. But if you're so inclined and willing to brave it, come out and see us. Got Joe's Donuts, got Starbucks, Sandy Cinemas. I've been doing this for a long time. My team's been doing this for a long time. It's a lot of fun. We love it. And it's just a way to start the year seeing people that we love and care about, and would love to have you be a part of it. So I want to make sure that's out there. Just my way of saying thank you for the relationship and thank you for the opportunities that you guys continue to give. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. And as I always say, till next time.